The Easy Street sweater is a beginner-friendly raglan pattern with a full video tutorial and picture aids. It features a comfortable scoop neckline that isn't too wide, low, or tight, making it perfect to wear and flattering on everyone. Finished with clean twisted rib edging, this cozy sweater is a simple and relaxing project for any skill level. For this tutorial, you're going to need the written pattern. You can get the free pattern on my blog, or if you want the premium ad-free version, you can get the PDF from my shop that you can get right here. This is a Lion Brand yarn kit, so you can get all of the yarn to make this blanket, plus the pattern to go with it. Best part about Lion Brand yarn kits is that you can customize the colors, so you can get the Lion Brand yarn kit right here. You'll need Heartland Lion Brand yarn, which is a weight 4 yarn, and depending on your size will determine the yardage that you'll need. I use the color Kabuk Valley. You will need 2 different needle sizes and 2 different cord cable lengths. So you'll need a US 9 5.5 millimeter needle, and then a US 8 5.0 millimeter needle, and then 24-inch cable and a 40-inch cable. You'll also need stitch holders, scissors, stitch markers, and a tapestry needle. The pattern is written for 9 sizes, and the model is 5 foot 7 inches and is wearing size medium with the 38-inch bust and 1.5-inch positive ease. Sweater is worked top down. It begins by working back and forth in rows for the back and to shape the neckline, and then it is joined in the round. Raglan increases are worked evenly spaced, and the piece is divided at underarms for body and sleeves. Sleeves are put on hold, and the main body is worked first. Sleeves can be worked in your preferred small circumference method. This pattern calls for a magic loop, but double-pointed needles work as well. The neckline is picked up and worked in a twisted rib. The hem of the sleeves and bottom of the tee are also worked in twisted rib. To begin this sweater, you need to measure out the amount of stitches you need for the cast on, and I've done that so far. So I got to this point in the yarn, and then I made a slip knot. Oh, also it was probably more like right here, and I gave myself a little bit extra just to be safe, because that always sucks when you have to redo it. So I am making the medium sample, so I'm casting on at 58 stitches. This is the long tail cast on. So my tail is on top, my working yarn is on bottom. I have 1 stitch on my needle, and then 2, 3, 4, 5, and keep on doing that. Go ahead and pause the video. Keep on doing that until you have your specified number of stitches. Here's my cast on. I'm ready for row 1 of the pattern. So this is a raglan sweater, so you're going to need your stitch markers handy for this row. So to begin this row, we're going to knit the front and the back. So knit this stitch like normal, and instead of taking it off your needle like you normally would, you're going to then knit it through the back loop. And that is a knit front and back. So you can see I have 2 stitches here. Then I take it back off my left needle. I'm going to place a marker and knit front and back this stitch. So there's my knit front, and now I need to rotate my work and knit the back stitch as well, and then take that stitch off my needle. Depending on your size will tell you how many stitches you need to knit here. I'm making the medium, so I am knitting 9. 1, 2, 9. Knit front and back this next stitch. Don't take it off your needle. Now do the back loop. Now you can take it off your needle. Place another stitch marker, knit front and back this next stitch. There's the front, there's the back, knit 32, 1, 2, 32. After we've done our knit 32, we knit front and back. Place marker, knit front and back. Knit 9. 1, 2, 9. Knit front and back. There's my front. There's my back. Place the last stitch marker. And then knit front and back in this last stitch. Row 2 is a purl row, so we're not going to have any increases on this row. So with purl rows, you just purl all the way across, and you're just going to be slipping these markers. So purling just like this, and then when you get to a marker, you slip it. So let's meet back up for row 3. I completed row 2, and so I'm ready to do row 3. Row 3 begins by knitting the front and back in that first stitch. So there's the front that I knitted, now the back. I take this stitch off my needle, and it says you need to do 1 knit front back and then knit to 1 stitch before the marker. So I'm already at the 1 stitch before the marker, so I don't need to do any additional knit stitches for this row. So I'm going to knit the front and back of this next stitch. Slip the marker, knit front and back, and then repeat from the asterisk 3 more times. So I need to knit these stitches until I hit 1 stitch before the marker. Here is my last stitch. So I have 1 last stitch until my marker, so I need to knit this stitch through the front and the back. This is the increase. Then I can take it off my needle, slip that marker, and knit this one through the front and back also. So that is the first, oops, let me try that again. That is the first time of us doing that repeat. We need to do it 2 more times. So I need to knit all of these until I have 1 more stitch. Here is my last stitch before that marker. Knit this through the front loop and the back loop. Slip the marker, knit through the front loop and the back loop in that next stitch. Knit until we hit 1 stitch before that last marker in this row. Here's my last stitch before the marker. Knit through the front, knit through the back, slip that marker, knit through the front, knit through the back. And so we've done that 3 times, the repeat 3 times. And so we knit the last stitch, which is in this row is right here. So we don't need to do any additional knit stitches. And then we knit the front and back of this stitch. So we had 10 increases in this row. The next row is a purl row. So you need to repeat rows 3 and 4 for the specified amount for your size. And then you need to do row 3 1 more time to complete this section in the pattern. And then we're going to start on the yoke. So let's meet back up on the yoke section and I'll show you how to do the backwards loop method. This is what it looks like for row 23. You can see I have my markers here and nice little raglan increases. Very cute. All right, so we're ready to do the backwards loop cast on under the yoke section. To do the backwards loop cast on, you take your working yarn and your thumb and you're going to wrap it around like this and slip it onto your needle. I need to do 10 of those. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 10. So taking your other needle in your left hand and then your working yarn in your right, you're going to place a stitch marker. And all my other stitch markers in this row are light pink, and then this stitch marker is a different color to help indicate the beginning of the round. So now I just need to double check and make sure that all of my stitches are facing the right way. So I have my cord live stitches, all of them are facing up. Pay special attention to these backwards cast on ones as well, that they're all facing the same way and not twisted. Once you have double checked that, now you're ready to join in the round. So you're just going to insert your needle into that first stitch on your left. And the pattern says to knit to the next stitch marker. So I just need to do 1 knit stitch as just normal. Make sure that you're not leaving a gap here. So I pulled on the yarn after doing the knit stitch. And now you are joined in the round. So I'm just going to continue doing knit stitches until I've reached the last stitch before this next marker. Here is the last stitch before my marker, so I'm going to knit this through the front and the back like we have been doing. Slip that marker, and then this next stitch we're also going to do through the front and then the back. And so you're going to repeat that around. For this round 1, you're only going to have 8 increases instead of 10 like we have been doing for the pattern. So just take note of that. And then the next round is a knit round instead of a purl round, because now we're joined in the round, so we can just spiral around. We're not going back and forth in rows. And so to do stockinette, we just need to continue doing knits. So I'm going to do this for 44 rounds from the beginning cast on, and then let's meet back up on round 1 of the main body. I'm ready to do round 1 of the main body, but before I begin, I wanted to talk about the stitch markers and where the sleeves are. So you can see this is my beginning of round stitch marker, my red, and then I have 1, 2, 3, 4. And in the pattern it says knit to the first stitch marker, and then you're going to put these stitches on hold for the sleeve, and then do it again. Knit to the next stitch marker, put these stitches on hold for the sleeve, and then complete. So these 2 sections are the sleeve sections and are going to be put on hold, and then the main body is going to be continued all the way down to the hem, and then we'll pick up each sleeve individually to work on the sleeves. So let's start doing this. Knit to the next marker. So I'm going to do that. And here's my last stitch. I remove this marker, and now I'm ready to put these stitches on hold for the sleeve. I'm going to be using this stitch holder system. I find this works really well for me. You just have to make sure it's really on there snug so that the stitches don't fall off. Okay, so I need to pull it through all the way to here. All right, so there's the last stitch, and the stitch marker is right there. All right, so there, I can remove that stitch marker and then put these stitches on hold. I just use this little thing and make sure both sides are clamped. And now it also will make it really easy to try it on as we go, so that we can make sure the fit is good. So after we have those stitches on hold, it says that we need to cast on 6 stitches using the backwards loop method. 1, 2. Now this forms the underarm portion, and we repeat. So I need to knit to my next marker, which is all the way over here. my last stitch right here. So again, I'm doing the same thing, removing the stitch marker. I have another stitch holder here that I'm going to put on. If you don't have these, you can also use just like dental floss or something. So don't stress if you don't have these stitch holders. So again, I just put it onto the tip of my needle, and then I'm going to go to the next stitch marker, and I'm going to pull my needle through like this, and it's going to put these stitches on hold for me. So these stitches are now on hold. I just need to clamp it off on both sides again. Now they are safe and secure. I need to do a backwards loop cast on again to make the underarm. So to do the backwards loop cast on again, like this, that's one. And then I just go over to this side and knit until I hit that next marker, which is the beginning of round marker. And I'm going to keep that marker for the rest. I don't need to take that one off like I did with the other stitch markers for this round. So I'm just going to do this off camera, knit to the end of this round, and that is the main body one round. And then round two for the main body is just knit. And so you're just going to keep on doing that for the specified amount for the pattern. And that is how you work the main body. And then I will show you how to work the hem portion of the main body. So let's meet back up for the hem portion. You can see I have the main body knit. Here's where I will do my collar, my two sleeves right here, and my main body. So I'm ready to do my hem. I already switched out my needles because for the hem, you do need to switch to a smaller size needle, either 1 or 2 sizes smaller. So I did 5.5 millimeter needles for my main body. So I switched to a 5.0 millimeter needle for the hem, and that just helps make it a cleaner looking hem. So I just had one more stitch for that row. Now I'm ready to do my hem. To do a hem, we're doing a twisted hem. So instead of knitting through the front loop like you normally would, you're going to knit through the back loop like that. And that's one knit through the back loop. And then we will purl the next one, just normal purl, and then another knit one through the back loop. Oops, purl, knit one through the back loop, purl. So I'm going to do this all the way around for this row, and then I'm going to continue doing it for the remaining rounds of the hem. If I can get that stitch, there we go. So you can see what it's looking like. It's looking like a rib stitch, but it's just going to give a slight variation because it's a twisted rib. So I'm going to do the rest off camera, and then we'll meet back up for the sleeve portion. I've got my sleeve opening here that I need to get my back onto my needles. So to do that, I just take the end here, make sure it's securely on the end of my needle, and I pull it through. So I have all of the stitches back onto my needles. I have my longer needles that I'm using because I'm doing the magic loop for this small circumference. So now I'm ready to pick up stitches. For the size I did, I picked up 6 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And so I need to pick up an extra stitch on each, the beginning and the end, so I reduce the amount of gapping that happens. For this section, I'm going to need 3 stitch markers. These pink ones are going to help us indicate where we need to do how to do some decreases, where we will be doing the decreases. And then this orange one's going to indicate the beginning of my round. So just keep those nearby. So right here, right there, under these 2 loops, this is my first backwards loop cast on that I did. So I need to do 1 stitch over for the first stitch I'm going to pick up. So I'm going to pick up this stitch, but I forgot to place my marker. So I'm just going to loop that on, because before we do this pickup, I needed to place a marker. So going under 2 loops here so that it is more secure, I'm just going to pick up a stitch like that, and then going into the next column under 2 loops, pick up another stitch. That's 2. Again, the next column, 3 and 4. Place my beginning of round stitch marker, and then we have 4 more stitches we're going to pick up. 1, 2. This is our last stitch that we cast on for the underarm. So that's our 3 for the last of the underarm. And now we need to do 1 more so that we can minimize the gapping. So you see this long strand right here? We're going to work right here under it. My other needle's in the way, just a sec. So picking up that stitch like this. So you can see we have our 8 stitches for this size that we picked up, and the instructions say that we need to knit around. So I'm going to do that. It says knit around until 1 stitch before the first marker. Oh y'all, I forgot to place my 3rd marker. Okay, I'm so sorry. So when you do your pickups, your last set of pickups, you need to place a marker before the last stitch you pick up. So I needed to do 3 and then place a marker, and then my last one there, 4. Sorry about the confusion there. Okay, so I'm doing the magic loop for this section. I've hit my spot where I need to finagle my needles. There we go. And then pulling out this side, I'm able to work the last half of my sleeve. And again, I'm going to stop 1 stitch before the first stitch marker. So I have my last stitch before the stitch marker, and you can see since I worked the magic loop, this section seems like it might not work because the next step says I need to knit this stitch and this stitch together, knit 2 together. But since they're on separate needles, it seems like it's not going to work. So we just need to finagle this so that we can get those stitches together. So I'm just going to slip this last stitch over onto my right needle. And then I'm going to get my left needle ready to knit. And then I'm going to slip that stitch back onto my left needle so that I can knit these 2 together. The reason why we're knitting these 2 together is you can see there's a big gap right here. So if we do the decrease over these 2 stitches, it's going to help minimize that gap. So knitting those 2 together, you're going to treat them as 1 stitch going under both of them, and then knit. So you can see it's really closed that gap up a lot. Now I'm going to do my magic loop and pull out my right needle to help situate and get ready for this next section. It says we just need to knit until the last stitch marker. So remember, this is just my beginning of round stitch marker, so I just slip that over. So we're 1 stitch before our last stitch marker. So now we need to do the same thing where we need to decrease over these 2 stitches. So we need to slip, then take that stitch marker off because we don't need that. Slip, slip, and knit the 2 stitches together. And there's our decrease, and it helps minimize that gapping on the underarm as well. So now we're all situated and set with our correct number of stitches needed for the sleeve. So now you can just knit in the round evenly around until the specified number of rows in the pattern. So make sure you check your size for that, and I'll meet back up with you when we do the decrease for the cuff. I've completed the sleeve up until the cuff. I've done the length that it's specified in the pattern. So now it is time to do the decreases for the cuff. For the size medium, it says that we need to knit 2 together, knit 2 together, and then do the repeat of knit 2 together, knit 2, and repeat that section 14 times. So knit 2 together, and then I am going to start that magic loop. So another knit 2 together right here. And now we're going to do the repeat. The repeat is knit 2 together, then 2 regular knits, 1, 2. Again, knit 2 together, knit 2, 1, 2, knit 2 together, 1, 2. So I'm going to go ahead and do that all the way around, and we'll meet back up at the beginning of the round to do the next portion. I made it back around to the beginning of my round, so I'm ready to do the round 2 of the cuff, which is knit 1 through the back loop, purl, and repeat that all the way around. So before we begin, we do need to change to our smaller needles. So instead of using the 5.5 millimeter, I'm going to be using the 5.0 millimeter needles. Normally I would just switch my interchangeable needles, but I already have this on a cord right now, so I'm just being lazy, okay? I'm just going to keep it on this cord. All right, so knitting through the back loop, instead of knitting like this and inserting my needle like this, I'm going to turn and then go through the back loop like that. So going through the back loop, there's our first stitch. Now we need to purl this next stitch. So purl this next stitch. That's our repeat. So through the back loop, we're going to knit this next one, purl the next one. So this is the same thing that we did for the bottom hem of the main body. And then we'll do this for the collar as well. So just go all the way around this sleeve, and then you're going to do this for rounds 2 through 6, and then you'll bind off. So I'm going to do that off camera, and then I will show you how to pick up the neckline and do the collar. Let's pick up the collar for this sweater. So each section I have marked out because this part you do need to plan it out just to make sure you put the stitches evenly around the collar. So for this medium size, I have 84 stitches I need to pick up. So that's 34 stitches along the back. And then this straight side here, 8 stitches, 12 stitches, 10 stitches, 12 stitches, and 8 stitches. And that equals 84. look to your size to be able to plan that out accordingly. The trickiest section is this slanting side section right here. It's almost every other stitch, but not quite. So some I'm going to have to do every 2 stitches and then pick up a stitch to get those 12 stitches. So I am using my smaller needles, the 5.0 millimeter needles, and I'm going to start on this back portion. So starting where I have it marked out, and then I'm going to take my yarn and pick up 34 stitches along the back here. So 1, 2, and also I forgot to mention, you need to go under 2 loops here. Let me see if I can show you that. See, I'm going under 2 loops to make it more stable. So I have 31 stitches right now, and you can see I have 30, 32, 33, 34. So I've done this correctly because I've just done 1 stitch for every stitch along the back. There's my 34 stitches. Now I have my straight stitches here, and so I need to do 8 stitches along the straight side here if I'm doing 2 stitches out of every 3 stitches. So actually, let me remove this to get this out of the way. So going into this stitch right here and going under the 2 loops, you can see there's 2 loops there. So 1, 2, and then skip. 1, 2, skip. 1, 2. So that's 6 stitches right now. Skip, and then here's our 7th and 8th. So there's my 8 stitches along that straight edge here. Along these slanting diagonal sloped stitches, I have 12. So I need to do, like I said, about every other stitch, but then it's going to work out to be some that need to be every 3 stitches. So not every 2, but 3. So I'm going to skip this first one because I need to do 12. One, 2, 3, 4. Oh my word, Lewis. Y'all, I gave him love for like 10 solid minutes. Okay, so I'm at 5 right now. Louie, come on, bud. Okay, Lewis, he just really wants to make his appearance in this video. Come on, you gotta get out of here. You are worse than my kids at this point. So I've done 5, 6, so I need to do 12 along the slanting side stitches, and so you can see this is the space, the section, and I'm halfway. So I'm about on track, but I do need to do 6 stitches in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now, yeah, I'm on track to be able to have 12 in this section here. You could even mark the halfway point. That way you can check yourself to make sure you're doing the amount of stitches you need to, and then that will save you time from undoing it, which I've done many times before. Five and 6. So that's 12 stitches along the slanting slope. Now I'm to the front I'll show you how to do the front, and then I'm going to do the rest off camera for picking up the neck stitches because it's symmetrical. It's what we've done already. So not counting the one that I just did, this will be the first stitch, and I need to do 10 stitches along the front. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. I accidentally had my stitch marker over 1, but that's the one it's supposed to go in. So those are the 10 stitches along the front. I'm going to do the slanting side stitches and then the straight stitches. We're going to do 12 and 8 again, and that should get me my 84 stitches for the neck like I need to. So I'll meet back up when I reach the starting point for this round, and I'll show you how to do round 2. I reached the beginning of my round here, so I'm ready to do round 1. Round 1 is the same pattern that we've been doing for all of our hems, cuffs, everything like that. So we're going to knit through the back loop. Oh, I need to place my marker, my beginning of round marker. So knit through the back loop and then purl. Knit through the back loop, purl. And this pattern works out only if you have an even number of stitches. So hopefully you double checked and counted your neck stitches to make sure that it was in fact what it needed to be in the pattern for your size. I did do that off camera and mine was 84 stitches. So just continue doing this all the way around until you get to the beginning or the end of your round, and then you're going to do that for rounds 1 through 5, and then you're going to bind off as the stitch presents. So I'll show you how to bind off when I've done my rounds. I've done the specified number of rounds, so I am ready to bind off. So to bind off, you're going to knit as the stitch presents. So this was a knit through the back loop, and now I need to purl. And I'm going to take that first stitch I did and pass it over the stitch, the purl stitch. Now I'm to a knit through the back loop, and I pass that stitch over the one I just did. And I just continue doing that all the way around until I reach the last stitch there. And I will do that off camera. So anyway, that is how you make the easy street sweater. Hey friends, thanks for joining me on today's video. I have this video right here that I think you'll really enjoy, so go check it out and be sure to subscribe for more crochet and knit tutorials. My name is Rachel from Cozy Nooks Designs, and happy making!